Welcome back to Irish Strength, and we've got 1 week left until the biggest competition here in Ireland this year, which is Official Strongman, Ireland's Strongest Man. We're joined by Cillein Groom, who's current Ultimate Strongman, Ireland's Strongest Man. Thank you very much for joining us, Cillein.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Mark, for having me.
No problem at all. So, the big question that everyone's asking you, how's it going? How are you feeling?
Yeah, no, I've been very excited for this competition. There's been a lot of anticipation kind of towards this comp, and especially with a couple of lads not being at Ultimate Strongman or the Strongest Man a couple of weeks ago. It'd be nice to kind of tick this one off as well.
And obviously, we've been chatting over the last week or two. You've had a little bit of an issue with your hip. How is that feeling at the moment? Is it muscular, or do you know what's happening with it?
Yeah, it was actually my QL. Luckily enough, I've got one of the best physios around Galway, Lee Marmion. So it was quite painful for about, I'd say maybe 10 days. I couldn't really do much training. But once I got into him, he fixed me right up. So been back into the gym now the last couple of days, getting the body movement and stuff so it's it's in a good place.
And has that affected your training, or had you gotten most of the important stuff, the heavy stuff, out of the way before that happened?
It actually happened just after I finished my yoke run, my last heavy one. So it probably happened at a pretty good time. I had most of my heavy work done at that point. So at this point now, it's just kind of more just recovery, to keep the body moving and try not hurt myself again.
Yeah, you've only 1 more week. If you hurt yourself now, you don't have much time left.
Yeah.
And obviously you're one of the only athletes there that has competed at a Giants Live show before, and that was obviously earlier this year. How are you feeling for this new route that has been created for Ireland, that you can actually see the way to qualify, as opposed to just being sort of talent scouted, for want of a better word?
Yeah, I mean, the way I kind of viewed doing Giants Live in January was kind of it was the last minute shoe-in for because several people got injured in a short space of time, unfortunately. So I kind of came in, so I did feel kind of out of place, just because it was just I was the only one kind of really there who technically didn't earn their spot. So there was kind of that kind of coming against me. That was probably just myself, but I just kind of mainly went in with just the mentality of just I wanted to come in and just learn, get field equipment, see what the stuff is like, and just know what to kind of expect in the future. So now that we actually see that we actually have this pathway to come back in there, I think it's a really, really good opportunity. And it'd be nice to actually go back there and once I actually earn my spot to compete at Giants Live, then because everyone's oh, you must be so happy you went there before, but it was just yeah, but at the same time, I'm very I feel very strict to myself that I like to do things properly, and I won't really kind of consider it until I actually qualify it properly. But I think now, considering this competition's come back, and I feel the standard of has gotten a lot better in the country. There's a good mix of lads in there, and this competition coming up now next week is going to be a very, very difficult comp. So in a good way, so I feel it's kind of up to us really to kind of put on a good show to show the ones at Giants Live that there is all this talent in Ireland. And actually kind of get the lads, the opportunities that they deserve.
I've spoken about it in a few interviews where I've tried to give people an idea of the difference between having a qualifying route and getting invited to a Giants Live show where, like you were in January.
Yeah.
For the case in January, because it's a different case because you've actually gone through this. How did you actually get chosen for that? Did you have to do any qualifying to be on the list of sort of substitutes, or was it just a case of from your previous performances at other comps that Giants Live went, no, we'll give Cillein a try at this?
I think it was after UK's, my first time when I competed at UK's, and I was second going into the last event, and I was pushing people like Gav Bilton, which is I was not expecting that at the time. I finished fourth overall, a half a point just off of Gav, who was sitting in third place. So, and like I've seen like when there was like pullouts and stuff, like I've seen a few people kind of commenting my name. But like I had no expectations of it, because like in my mind then I just felt like I didn't deserve it unless I actually qualified properly. But then yeah, like I just got a phone call from Maddie. Dave Warner was trying to get in contact with me, and he said, yeah, like it was like 10 days before the competition. I was literally just finished. I was just came out of like kind of like my recovery deload kind of off season stuff, and yeah, then it was like straight into like the Giants live show. So the timing of it probably wasn't the best, but I was so happy with the way I performed in the day.
Looking at your year that you've had, it must feel like it's been an absolute crazy year, with obviously Giants Live, then on to UK's, and now another chance to go to a Giants Live and a big official strongman show. You must be exhausted.
Yeah, I suppose definitely. Like it's been a crazy 12 months, yeah, for sure. And it is like, especially when you're going out there in front of big crowds and stuff like that alone is like can be exhausting, with just like the adrenaline that kind of like gets sparked from just like seeing a lot of people in that. Yeah, it's been tiring, but like at the same time, like this is strongman, like this is sport I chose, and like no, it has to be hard, like, and I feel like the difficulty definitely brings in a lot of meaning to suffering.
Now, going to this show, and we've got as good a lineup of athletes that you could possibly get at a show here in Ireland. And I think when you look at the quality that's in there, you see, like you said a few moments ago, how far the sport has come here and how impressive the progression has been for the sport. When you look at the athletes there, is there an athlete that you're looking at going, well, he's the real competition on the day? Or are you looking at the whole field going, well, everyone's got their strengths and weaknesses?
I feel like definitely everybody. I mean, like I think every single person, like depending on how things go, I feel like anybody could really win this competition. And like me personally, I'd rather just kind of stay focused on myself, because I feel like in particular, like if you're like competing in a sport where like it's a non-contact sport, like I can't control what the other person does. Like it's all about them. But the only thing I can control is what I do. So I don't like to get like caught up on seeing what other people are doing on Instagram and stuff like that, or even like on the day, if you're going up in twos, I don't want to be looking over the other person. It's just I'm focusing here on myself again, because like my actions aren't going to have an effect on the man beside me or something like that. Like, so yeah, I don't like to get too distracted with things. I just like I do see every single one of those people as a potential winner of this competition. So I'm not going to underestimate any of them, because I feel like it'd be disrespectful one way. But yeah, I feel like it's kind of really anybody's up for grabs.
Touching on that there, you said that you try and stay away from the distractions and stuff. There has been, especially within the last week, it feels like an absolute cauldron between the competitors in quite a good way. I think there's been an awful lot of banter and a lot of just heating up of the competition. You've seemed to keep yourself away from that for the most part, but I'm sure you're seeing it. Do you look at it like it is a pure distraction, and possibly it will help you if those other athletes are a little bit, their focus is being taken away?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it is like there is kind of like a lot of talk going back and forth, but at the same time I feel like it is still like a little bit like lighthearted as well. At the same time, I mean, like I've known Jer, for example, for years, like ever since I started doing strongman, and like I always take what he says with a pinch of salt, and like everybody else, like I feel like it's just, even though people are saying these things, like there's still good intentions between all of us, like, and I do find like it's funny as hell. I'm not gonna lie, like I do enjoy seeing it and stuff. I guess I'm just not as funny as some of the other guys are with some of their remarks. So, yeah, I mean, like if they get distracted by it, I suppose like it's to their own peril. But I don't think anybody would really I don't think any of them are really taking it too seriously. So at the same time, I feel like they know what they got to do when it comes down to it.
I think I will pick up on one point there that I think a lot of people will say in the comments, that after chatting to you at different comps and different things, I think you're a lot funnier than you make yourself out to be. You're just a little bit more reserved online.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference there.
Maybe.
And the events that are there, I know they're events that you will be very, very used to. You will have been training these events for a long time. And that was one of the things that Dave wanted to make sure, because there was a short run-in time for this competition. What way are you looking at it for your training on those events? Have they all gone to plan, or have some gone better than others?
Yeah, I definitely say some have definitely gone better than others. Like it's still a pretty quick turnaround from, Ultimate Strongman's Ireland Strongest Man. Like that really wasn't, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that long ago. So I mean, like with these events, they are all kind of like standard enough strongman events. I mean, like some of them I haven't done. Well, I haven't done many load medleys in a long time. But yeah, I think it's just like, just assessing things as they go, because like that's the thing with strongman, that like every competition is different, so you're constantly trying to adapt your body to that competition. And I was even like looking back, I mean, like everybody knows that like overhead is probably like my worst event, and looking back on it, like 2 years ago, I was pressing, like 140, 145, which is kind of like what I'm still doing now in the gym. And when I was looking at the competitions I was doing, all I really had was like, it was like dumbbell ladders, and then it was like several log ladders in a row. So I went like a whole like 2 years without actually any like one max drives kind of stuff. Like, so like, just you just kind of got to like assess it as it goes along and stuff. But I do feel like on the day, I perform better on the day than I do in the gym. I think for myself, it's always kind of like the fear of losing is always kind of like my biggest motivation. And when it really kind of comes down to the day, like I feel like, just kind of keep your head down and just keep going and try not make any mistakes.
That's definitely the key. If you can do that, you'll do well.
Yeah.
Then I will press you a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
Who do you think? Like, obviously, Rory was the one that was really pushing you at Ultimate Strongman. Who do you think will? Obviously, you'll put yourself hopefully on the podium, but
Yeah.
who do you think is going to be there alongside you? Horrible question, I know.
It is. It's it is a really difficult question, because there's so many. I think there's so many factors to it. Like for example, I can't remember, on one of the other podcasts somebody was saying how, there's a lot of people there who've got like, one bad event, myself included. There's a couple of guys there who are very much more well-rounded. But gosh, that's hard to think. I'd say besides myself, like you can't rule out kind of like Matt Keegan, considering the year that he's had. I mean, like he's definitely, even though like me and Matt actually started strongman literally at the same competition, out in like the back arse of Galway. He's definitely a lot more seasoned. He's on so many competitions and stuff, like, and with these kind of events, I feel like, and he's very well conditioned. One thing I think is that might surprise some people on the day is maybe the pace of the show, because I feel like this will definitely go a lot faster than, because if you look at OSG, you're doing 2 events a day, spread across like several days, and then even like with Ultimates, it can be a little bit slow because like they have the whole performance and stuff, like, so. I feel like fitness has definitely come into it, but besides Matt, it's really difficult to say. I feel like anybody really could. Like, I mean, I feel like it's just kind of coming down to who makes the least mistakes. But yeah, maybe it was me, Matt, and it's really.
I want to put you out your misery, but I can wait. I can wait. Oh,
yeah.
No, we won't push you for that third name. We got 2 names out here, so that's good. A quick one, because there are people that have sent in some questions for you. So on Instagram, I've been asking if anybody has any questions, and you've got a fair few come in. So there's some, of course, because we're here in Ireland, there are some that are a little bit more taking the piss, and there are some serious ones. So we'll start with the serious ones. We've got Tristan, that trains down in Clara. He wanted to know if you had the option between going to a Rogue show, a Shaw Classic, or World's Strongest Man? I think I know the answer, but which would you choose and why would you choose it?
That's if I had to pick one of them, I suppose like my logic would be I would actually pick the Rogue, mainly because you've got really big prize money in the Rogue, and if you do well enough in the Rogue, you could get an invite to World's Strongest Man. So if I had to, and that's not just, it's not to disrespect the, like, the pedigree of those other two titles, but I'm kind of thinking, one, Rogues get the most money out of it, and two, a good performance, as you've seen with like some other people, when they get one good performance on an international show, you kind of start to get invited to the rest of them. Like, so I think that would be kind of my way of thinking about it.
That's a fair answer. It's not the one I thought you'd give, but that's
Yeah.
a fair answer. The next one up was Erin Donnelly, and she was wondering what actually got you into strongman. What first inspired you to go, I'm going to give this a go?
So yeah, I actually know Erin. So yeah, I suppose what started off was when I was like 20 years old. I was just like, young, reckless. I was just going out drinking. I had real no kind of like direction in myself. I was just like, I was working in healthcare at the time, like kind of nursing homes and like in the hospital and stuff. And I just seen like a strongman competition that was coming up, and I was just like, at the time I kind of needed something to kind of like ground me and just kind of give me a little bit more kind of like structure and discipline. And I think it was like when I seen my sister competing at Ireland's Strongest Woman. When I seen like these women were like pulling trucks and like running around with kegs and stuff, I was just like, this is nuts, like absolutely crazy. And then I just signed myself up to a competition, and that's kind of, I was in like the under 105s, I came third, I think, and I met Matty Costello then, and then when I came back to Galway, I signed up with his gym, and I definitely feel like I met that group of people at the right time, because like I really kind of hadn't a clue, like, what I wanted to do with myself or anything, and it was such a supportive environment to be in, and they kind of gave me a lot of encouragement, and yeah, that's kind of like, and I didn't really kind of make the decision to go fully kind of like into it until I got the invite to do the 2019 Ireland Strongest Man. It was like a 4-week notice. Somebody got injured. Aidan Kennedy put my name forward as like, potential person to compete. And then they gave me the chance, and I was like 22 at the time, and I did pretty good. And like when I was kind of weighing myself up to all these other guys who were like much older than me, I was like, I've actually got a pretty good chance at this. And then I moved back to Galway then, and I just kind of just like, right, this is it. Like it was kind of like whatever Maddie told me to do, that was it. Like, I was just fully committed to it ever since.
Before I go with any of the other questions, I work a lot with Matty and with GSP. Yeah. So I don't want this to come across to anyone that's watching as like an advertisement or anything like that. But obviously, GSP is sort of, for want of a better word, the home of strongman here in Ireland. How beneficial is it to be around such a group of, number one, experienced athletes? Obviously, Aisha's there as well, and you get a huge amount from that. But just the group in general, how beneficial is it to be in that environment?
Hugely beneficial. And I feel like, I almost kind of like, grew up in that gym. Like, I actually like matured like around these people and stuff. And you kind of like, unfortunately at the time when I signed up to the gym, that was kind of like towards the end of Maddie being able to kind of like function regularly before his injuries kind of came in. But even just like training alongside Aisha, it's like, I was like 19, 20 when I signed up in the gym, and like I thought I was strong, and then I was just like, what the fuck? Like, her like deadlifting like 230 and stuff, and I was just like, and even like on the accessories, like she wasn't like, I wasn't doing that much more than her, and like that was like a great drive and stuff. And even then, just like for example, like with like Dave, just his like professionalism and like everything that he does. Like, I mean, like, even just like watching the man like doing his squats, he's like, it's the same setup every single time, from like the bar up to his heavier weights. And they really kind of just like installed a lot of like just good kind of habits. And definitely, like, it was not a case where like they're all kind of like, we're not all like hyping each other up and kind of stuff. Like, if people are doing shit, we're going to tell you you're doing shit, like, and how to correct things. And We don't like to we try to kind of keep it as humble as we do in there. Like, and obviously it's good to celebrate when you do, but at the same time, just if you win one competition, you gotta keep winning them. Like, so you can't take the foot off the pedal and stuff. And I think as well, just seeing all the people that have attracted to the gym from different parts of the country, and then being able to actually give back to like people who are learning in the sport. Because like when I started, there was like we didn't have like the INSF wasn't there. There was no novice, there's no inters, there was no juniors. It was just really just men's open, and like that was the only option if you wanted to compete. So now seeing like what we've been able to do with the gym, as well as like all the competitions we've run, because like by the end of this year, yourself, in like 17 competitions that we've done all across the country and stuff. And I love it. It's tough work with seeing them. I love it. I love going around there and like just meeting all the new people that are coming in there and trying to give them the best advice that they can, just so to steer them on the right way and they don't have to make the same mistakes that we did. And it's been definitely a life-changing experience over the last couple of years being with these people. I know damn well I wouldn't be here if I didn't have like that team with me over the last couple of years.
And talking about staying humble and keeping people humble in that team, I think everyone that's been at a competition this year will, even though Ireland's strongest man, you'll still be in with the weight loading team, loading deadlifts and stuff for the next athlete that comes up. There's nobody gets away with anything. And as an extra to that, keeping you humble, Tiernan Canny wants to know, why are your fingers so weak? For anybody that doesn't know, I'm going to put up the little clip of what happened at official Strongman, the weight categories for Ireland's Strongest Man earlier this year.
So see Cillein attempting the hardest event of the day, picking up a calibrated plate flat off the floor. Go on, Cillein.
And that's
and Cillein fails on the lift.
Oh! Ireland's Strongest what?
In your own words, what happened there?
I was sweating. I was absolutely sweating in that place, and I just could not, like, yourself when you're picking up calibrated plates off a flat ground, it's tough enough as it is, like, but yeah, I had no grip, and of course, me doing all the work as usual, kind of just like tired myself out a bit. And he came over and decided to do a little bit of work and picked up the plate for me. But you'll have to remember now that I am his coach, so I know all the things he doesn't like, and they'll definitely be put back into his program.
I will say I think that's one of the proudest moments of his life when he was able to lift it up. I think he was the happiest I've ever seen him.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things this year for yourself, you have tried to become a bit leaner. So you've been on a new diet plan, trying to lose a little bit of weight. How has that gone for you? And do you think it will benefit you at this comp coming up next week?
Yeah, I think definitely. Like it's definitely been a lot better since I've lost the weight. I feel like it was just like I just put on too much bad weight too quickly, and I got marginally stronger considering everything I had put on there. So it was just kind of like just being bloated and just like high blood pressure, just not feeling good and stuff like that. Like, and I'm weighing at about 135 now. I think like back in October when I done the deadlift, I was like 144.5, I think, that day. So I'm down like 10 kilos over the last year. I even feel like at UKs, I think I was a little bit too big at UKs. I think at UKs I was about 140. I was about 142, I think, and especially like my mind then was just like I was like, it's a 3-day competition. Like I wanted to have the extra weight because I knew I was going to burn more off, but I kind of feel like it kind of might slow me down a bit. But over the last couple of weeks now, I've gotten in, like Maddie has me doing like a lot more running. Cardio has gotten like pretty good as well over the last couple of weeks. It has been like maybe psychologically a little bit like, oh, like I don't feel as big, and kind of panicking that I'm not going to be able to lift the same. But then once you actually kind of go in and you do the stuff, it's just like, it's fine. Like, maybe my body a little bit more bashed up from training, but like you get over like a little bit of pain if you're just genuinely feeling healthier for it.
And do you feel like because obviously a lot of people, myself included, we sort of look at it like, right, mass moves mass. but also the trade-off for that is that your speed tends to suffer. By losing that weight, have you found that your speed has improved at all? Have you been a bit quicker on those moving events?
Yeah, I mean, like, because like when I first started off with strongman, like I gained so much more points from being like very athletic. You know, like I played rugby for like 10 years before I started strongman, and that was kind of where I gained like a lot of my points. So it was kind of like, you know, I was looking back on it, and I was just, even like you talked to Maddie, there was a lot of things that over the last while we've just gone back to like a lot of the basic that I done when I was kind of like, you know, maybe 3 years ago when I was a little bit kind of like leaner and more athletic, and you know, incorporating like those different exercises and stuff is like, you know, definitely helped. Fitness, yeah, it's easier to move around. Definitely a lot easier to move around. Speed starting to come back a lot better as well. But yeah, just like kind of just take it like day by day as well, week by week, just keep assessing things and change them as we need to.
Last question, and I feel like it's the most important one. It comes in from, I think, your mascot, we can call him at this stage, which is your nephew Lorcan. And he wants Lachlan, sorry. And he wants to know, can you throw the concrete ball overhead and backwards?
He's asked me some pretty crazy requests, but maybe one day I'll be able to play basketball with one of them.
And just out of interest, what age is Lachlan?
He's not long gone 4.
Okay.
Well, he's fucking massive though as well. Like, I mean, the kid weighs over like 22, 23 kilos. So I mean, like, you know, his mother, second strongest woman in Ireland. His father was like a top level strongman and powerlifter as well. So definitely a lot of good future for that kid.
Future Ireland's strongest man in the making there, I feel.
Definitely. I feel so.
Now, you've got 7 days until the comp, so it's next Saturday. What is your plan for the week coming up? Is it a pure deload week and then head up the night before, get yourself set up? What way do you approach it in the last week?
Last week, you know, I try not to change things too much. I think that's definitely the most important thing. I like to, like, you know, 7 days before the competition, or like the weekend before, I do like to kind of go on a nice long walk, maybe go on like, you know, like 5, 6, 7, maybe like 10-kilometer hike or something like that. Nothing too strenuous or anything, but just something that's over the space of like kind of like 3 to 4 hours. Kind of, because I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like I do perform better when I do that, because it's kind of like you're doing like light activity for about like, you know, 3 to 5 hours, which is quite similar to like, well, the strongman comp, you know, is between like 3 to 5 hours. So just kind of like, in my mind, I kind of like, you know, go for a walk and I'm just kind of thinking about the competitions, kind of going through things as well, just keeping the body active. And then I'll probably go up on Friday, and I think I'm going to stay in Derry Friday night, which would be about like an hour drive then before it gets to the competition. And I like to have that drive then just kind of get the mind working and switch things back on. Even if the competition was in Galway, to be honest, I'd even get a hotel and stay somewhere else, because I actually don't like being in my house the night before competition. It's something about I associate hotels with competitions. It's not even a holiday thing. Like, you know, like if I go to a hotel, it's like it's competition kind of mode. So we'll go up there and just like, I think I got Airbnb this time just so I can cook my own food, but just kind of keep it simple. Just like not stress myself out too much. Just make sure the body's feeling good, I'm sleeping good, and then just like, you know, when it's time to switch things on, we'll switch it on then. Like, but until then, I'll stay calm.
Obviously, a lot of different athletes have different ways of dealing with the stress of a competition. And I think everyone does feel a little bit of stress, a little bit of nerves, just people deal with it in different ways. Can it sort of get in your head sometimes? Do you have to stick to your way of working things? If, for instance, something goes wrong where for a Galway comp you had to stay at home, would it really get into your head? Would it bother you, or is it just you've got your set way of doing things?
Like if something did go wrong, you know, like something goes wrong, then you just gotta kind of reassess the situation and just kind of take it from there. Like, I mean, I don't like to I don't like to just kind of get caught up over like, you know, one small detail or something like that. Like something happens, like fucking like it is what it is. Like, but you know, I still got to go out there. I still got to do this job. Like, so it doesn't really kind of matter what's going on around me. You know, let's say like even if it's like whatever it is, it can wait till after the competition. You know what I mean? Like it's whenever it's coming up to do it, like that's my main focus, and like not to be in like a dick, but like that's if anybody came up to me, I'm just like fuck off. I've got my shit to do. Like, but as well, I feel like it's good to know how to switch off in between events, and you know, even talk to people. It's kind of like it's good to just like, you know, kind of have the crack and not be like so hyped up all the time. I've definitely put in a lot of practice and just learning to switch myself on without having to go through a great deal of effort. Because I feel like if you're having to rely on like listening to music, like taking smelling salts all the time to actually switch like the adrenaline on, like you're wasting time, and then like you might not be able to do it efficiently, and then like you might throw you off and stuff. Like, so I'd even just like sometimes just like kind of meditate and then just like peak my adrenaline, and then like I just push it back down, and then I just kind of go do that a few times and just like, you know, go through like kind of like the trigger things and all that, and then it makes it easier then when I'm going out on the day that I know how to just switch it on and switch it back off again. Because especially like if an event might get delayed and you've got yourself hyped up, and then like you come down, you come back up again, like, so it's not really until like I try and wait until I get up to the implement, and then like that comes switches on, and then like, you know, afterwards then, you know, switch it back off. Yeah, you have to be as efficient as you possibly can. Just stay calm when you have to, but then like, you know, switch it on when the event actually comes.
And that's a struggle I know a lot of athletes have at the longer competitions, where they get hyped up and adrenaline's pumping for that first event, and then there's a big long break until the next event, and the adrenaline's going back down. It's a real management struggle there. Looking at, I always like to give the athletes a bit of a chance to sort of give a shout out to their sponsors, because athletes in Ireland especially rely so much on those sponsors. So for yourself, who would be sponsoring you?
So obviously like Service Ireland, they've sponsored me now over the last couple of years, and like big massive shout out to them. Like even like whenever I'm over competing at UKs and stuff, Peter and Callum, like they sort me out with all the stuff over there because they have the shop set up. I've been caught in a few tight situations where I didn't have the equipment that I needed. So yeah, they've been definitely a lifesaver for me. So big shout out to them. And then of course with the Health Plus store in Galway, Alan, this guy who owns that, he's been a massive help to me over like the last 2 years and stuff. Giving me kind of like, you know, supplements are expensive. Like I know, like it's hard to kind of stay on top of everything. Like, and especially when you're doing a sport like strongman, like, you know, there's so many different things to kind of stay on top of and stuff. Like, so he's made a big difference to me and kind of helped me out in a lot of different ways and stuff. Like, so they're kind of my only two sponsors at the moment. Like, so I've been with them for a while now, and I really, really appreciate the work that they've done for me.
And just a quick shout out from my own side, Muscle Foods has actually come on board to sponsor the live stream for this competition. So a huge thanks to them as well, because I think I'm a little bit in the same boat as the athletes there, where there's very little money available for athletes or for live streams and stuff like that. So it's great to have the support. So thank you very much to them as well. If anybody does want to follow yourself, is Instagram the best place for them to follow you, I'd imagine?
Yeah, Instagram's definitely the best way to get on to me. I have like a link there for like some of my other stuff, so you can find like Health Plus page and stuff on my account. So yeah, Instagram is usually kind of the best one to get onto me for.
And what's your tag on Instagram?
It's
you've changed it recently, haven't
you? It's Strongman Groom or Groom Strongman. I can't remember which one. I think it's Groom Strongman.
I will put the link in the description below. So for anybody watching, click on over Ireland's Strongest Man. There's always a lot of interesting stuff going up there. So make sure, click on over, give a follow. But also I'll put the links to those sponsors up as well in the description, and you can click on over and have a look there as well. But thank you very much for joining me and taking the time to have the chat, Cillein. Really appreciate it. And 1 week we'll get to see you perform against all the best athletes here in Ireland, and hopefully see you on that podium.
Hopefully. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you.
Thanks very much, pal.